Talk Bears. Like and subscribe if you get a chance. It helps out a ton. So let's get to the task at hand. The Chicago Bears. Let's expose what's really going on at offensive coordinator. People are so excited about this. People are so excited about the interview with Cliff Kingsbury for our offensive coordinator position, right? Most recently, and you know this is the draw. This is what all the chatter is about. Kingsbury just spent a season as senior offensive analyst and quarterbacks coach with the USC Trojans. That means he was the main mentor for Caleb Williams. Naturally, if you follow the breadcrumbs, and I totally agree with this, his hiring would definitely signal something that we would be drafting Williams with the number 1 pick. I mean, it's just a logical conclusion, right? But everyone's going nuts. Everyone's right now declaring that we're 100% going with Caleb and the decisions made. But I'm telling you guys something different. I'm telling you that we need to take a breath. We need to relax, and we need to remember something. Everything's not what it seems. And polls, he's likely up to something here. Look back, we interviewed Greg Roman, right? Remember that? Both of these candidates carry weight on 2 different telegraphed moves. So the possibility? These 2 interviews, they're either a smokescreen or simple consults on what to do moving forward at the most important position on our team, and that's quarterback. It's very possible that hiring from the Shanahan-McVay tree, it still will likely happen. So let's stop chasing smoke signals for a second. Let's be smart and let's chop this up a bit. First, we got to look at who Kingsbury is as a coach. This is from Yahoo Sports. So before his time with USC, we all know him as a coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and he was with them for 4 seasons. During that time, you remember Kyler Murray, he won the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. He made 3 Pro Bowls before the injury. It caused him to miss all that time, culminating in his return toward the end of this last year. We can also look at his record with Arizona. I mean, he had 1 winning season, and that was the year that they went to the playoffs. That was Kyler's big year, and they didn't do well in the playoffs. They had an ugly loss in the first round, the wild card round, I believe so. So let's not completely gloss him over as a head coach. He had some struggles. Let's get back to it, though. He's also known for a few more things, and this is important as well. He's credited with being a main developer of Patrick Mahomes when he was at Texas Tech. That's huge. He was the head coach there at the time. That's something to be excited about. A mentor of Patrick Mahomes. I'm in. He was also the OC and quarterbacks coach at Texas A&M. That's when Johnny Manziel won the Heisman, people. If you watch the Netflix doc on Johnny Football, you might admire that these coaching staffs, including Cliff, they deserve chops for even getting him to that level. Watch that doc. It's a must watch. In short, he has a fantastic history of developing quarterbacks into great passers, and most definitely doing so with mobile quarterbacks. So that's a great thing. He's also the master of the air raid offense, the offense he learned from Mike Leach. Get rid of that story there. As you know, it's a pass-first scheme. It spreads the field out wide. It works up-tempo pretty much all the time. It puts pressure on the defense by really just keeping them constantly on their heels if it's run properly. And you have to have the personnel to run it. We would need some major work on offense, which we do no matter what. That's not a big deal. But as the number 2 rushing offense last year, we would essentially be doing a full retool and refocus on offense. That's an issue. It's also a huge departure from the McVay offense, and that's what's known for a strong running game, but it's also a more balanced approach. Greg Roman's offense, too, if you want to talk about him, save the comments. Let's just hear me out. His offense, a ground and pound, right? I'm minimizing that a little bit. It's actually super creative. It's super effective, but it doesn't exactly nurture or fully utilize the passing game, does it? So that's a huge departure from the Shanahan tree as well. This interview, it's already telegraphed Fields. So let's be clear-headed. Let's look at both candidates. So far, we've mostly looked at disciples from the Shanahan-McVay coaching tree, right? That's a fantastic tree to shake, and it's a wise place to look for a successful, balanced offense. To further reinforce the concentration of our search so far, We also just interviewed LA Rams quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator Zach Robinson. That was yesterday. A source confirmed to NBC Sports Chicago that that interview happened. They also reportedly requested to interview Eagles senior offensive assistant Marcus Brady on Thursday, too. So that's more McVay disciples, right? Out of the 9 interviews, we just have only two outliers from that tree once again, with Kingsbury coming up. That's the Caleb Williams guy, of course, and Greg Roman being interviewed, who would obviously signal Justin Fields. So what does this mean? I want to offer my thought on what I think is really happening, and hear me out here. Our GM Ryan Poles, he shared something publicly during his postseason presser, right? The tone of the press conference, if you watched it, it was pretty neutral on trading the first pick or using on Caleb Williams. He was pretty non-committal. But keep in mind, he also wasn't afraid to trade it last year to tons of criticism. But I think it turned out very good for the team, right? It turned in DJ Moore, Tyreek Stevenson, Darnell Wright, all great players. So this isn't the time to bring up arguments on why we should build with Fields or why we should revamp and go with Caleb. There's a time for that, but we've been doing that so much. Let's stay on target. Let's keep going. With that being said, Poles, he said he's open to trading the top selection for a second straight year. And I quote, I'm wide open to anything. So if someone wants to call me with an idea, I'm open to it. Poles also said, it's hard to tell right now if the Bears could get more value this year for the top pick if they decide to trade it. But with a better quarterback class and a league always desperate to solidify the most important position in sports, I can't blame them. We want to do it too. They are desperate. They are desperate to solidify the most important position in sports, and teams are usually willing to risk a lot for that chance. Just look at the Panthers last year. While Chicago traded the number 1 pick in March last year, expect Poles to let the process play out even longer this time around, as in much closer to the draft or right up against it. This is what I'm choosing to focus on right now, the fact of timing. It depends on what factors are in it, but in my mind right now, I'm going to take this all the way to April. That's what Poles said. And you know what? I truly believe something. I think this is the truth coming from our GM. There's extreme value in having the first overall pick if you don't need a quarterback, and that's a decision Poles needs to make. Look what Poles got for the number 1 selection the first time as we talked. Wide receiver DJ Moore, right tackle Darnell Wright. Oh, excuse me, that's a guard. Cornerback Tyreek Stevenson, the number 1 pick this year, and a 2025 second rounder still to come. Poles said again, I've got to stay open-minded. So let's get to what's happening here. I fully believe right now, and I can be flexible on this, but this is what the tea leaves are saying right now, that we're going to hire from the McVay coaching tree, and that both of these interviews, Roman and Kingsbury, are essentially one of 2 things. Smoke screens, like I said, to keep the value of this first round pick at its absolute highest all the way up until the draft. I mean, we can make the hire, likely Walder and I would say, and still be able to say, hey, we haven't made up our mind on Fields. We haven't made our mind up on Caleb. Look at these 2 interviews. There's zero value in tipping our hands all the way up to the draft. It's smart. Or these are just simple consults to help with the decision-making on what to do. They're leaving no stone unturned. I love that. And these interviews are super valuable to gathering information. What better guy to consult on the possibilities of Fields, right? About whether he can be developed into more than what he is already. That getting a full rundown and opinion of the man who brought Lamar Jackson his first MVP, the guy that took a player who everyone at the time was talking and labeling as a one-dimensional player. He helped shape him into a QB who did this. Lamar Jackson. He had a passer rating of 113 with 3,127 yards, 36 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in 15 games, and that's the 2019 MVP season. He was selected to play in his first Pro Bowl. He won his first MVP award, 36 touchdown passes. Add to that 1,200 rushing yards and 7 more touchdowns. Say what you will, but that's not a one-dimensional player. That's not a one-dimensional quarterback. And Roman, he was the first to get the best out of him in the pros. On the other hand, What better guy to consult on Caleb Williams than Cliff Kingsbury, say that 10 times fast, asking questions about his mental makeup and fortitude. Those have been potential arguments against him. You guys have heard them. Adaptability to the pro game, what kind of quarterback he would be, and also his physical toughness, and whether Cliff thinks that he can hold up to using his legs as part of his arsenal. I mean, they're very similar styles, but Caleb, he is considerably smaller. He is fantastic at getting the most from quarterbacks. Quarterbacks throwing the ball who have unorthodox styles like these two players. And we have the opportunity to ask both men. We can ask two men that can give us incredible insight on both players. Polls, he also stated that every single serious candidate for the job that comes into the building, they need to present a game plan moving forward for both fields and a drafted quarterback. Guess what? Neither Kingsbury or Roman matches that description. So what I'm saying is this. There's a big possibility these two interviews are not just polarizing. They are essentially consults or smoke screens for other teams in the league and definitely for us in the media. So let's stop chasing smoke signals. Let's stop doing that all the time and let's examine this objectively. And that's what I'm presenting here. You guys, I would love if you let me know what you think. You guys, I know you'll send comments. Let's chop it up there and appreciate you all. Bear down. It's going to be a great postseason. See ya.